Imagine your head is pounding. You feel like you're going to throw up and you can't look at any light. You might be thinking this is the worst hangover of your life. But no, it's actually meningitis. That's right. This deadly disease comes on suddenly and kills fast. Here are the most horrifying facts about meningitis. Seizures are scary for anyone who experiences them, but did you know they can also be caused by meningitis? A seizure occurs when there's abnormal electrical activity in your brain. There is a vaccine that can protect you from getting bacterial meningitis. The vaccine contains a weakened form of the bacteria, which triggers an immune response in your body. Kissing can be a wonderful experience, but did you know it can also spread disease? Meningitis is a scary disease that can cause a lot of different symptoms. Some of the most common symptoms include a high fever, headache, and stiff neck. But did you know that not all people who have meningitis will show symptoms? Meningitis is a scary disease, but the good news is that many people recover from it without any lasting effects. In fact, some people have had meningitis and didn't even know it. That's because a lot of cases of meningitis go away on their own without treatment. However, there are some cases of meningitis that can lead to long-term health problems. That includes hearing loss, learning disabilities, and paralysis. But the good news is that most people who get meningitis make a full recovery. And if you've had meningitis before, your body will have built up immunity against that particular strain of the disease, so you won't get it again. That's right. Some people can carry the bacteria that causes meningitis without ever showing any signs of illness. But did you know that it can also affect your sinuses? Sinusitis is an inflammation or swelling of the tissue that lines your sinusitis. It can cause a variety of symptoms, including pain and tenderness in your cheeks, forehead, or around your eyes, as well as a runny or stuffy nose. But what does sinusitis have to do with meningitis? Well, in some cases, sinusitis can actually lead to meningitis. That's because the sinuses are located very close to the brain and spinal cord. So when they become inflamed, the infection can spread to the meninges and cause meningitis. That's why it's important to treat sinus infections promptly and correctly. If left untreated, a sinus infection can turn into something much more serious, meningitis. So if you're suffering from sinusitis, be sure to see a doctor. With prompt treatment, most cases of sinusitis clear up quickly and easily. These people are called asymptomatic carriers, and they can spread the disease to others without knowing it. That's why it's important to be aware of the symptoms of meningitis and to see a doctor right away if you think you might have it. Even if you don't have any symptoms, you could still be contagious and make other people sick. So do your part to protect yourself and others by getting the bacterial meningitis vaccine and practicing good hygiene. Cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze and wash your hands often with soap and water. These simple steps can help prevent the spread of meningitis and keep everyone safe. That's right. Meningitis can be spread through saliva, which is why it's important to avoid kissing someone who has the disease. If you're a pet lover, we've got some news for you that might make you think twice before giving your furry friend a big hug. Did you know that meningitis can be transmitted by pets? Yep, you heard us right. Certain types of meningitis can be caused by bacteria that live in animals, including dogs, cats, and even turtles. While it's rare for pets to carry the bacteria that causes meningitis, it can happen. And if you're not careful, you could end up with a case of meningitis yourself. That's why it's important to take precautions when around animals, especially if they're sick. Avoid kissing or cuddling animals, especially if they're sick, and make sure any cuts or scratches are cleaned thoroughly. If you do come into contact with a sick animal, be sure to wash your hands thoroughly with cold, soapy water. Should also see a doctor if you start feeling sick after being around a sick animal. Early treatment can help prevent complications from meningitis. So if you love animals, be sure to take these precautions. It could save your life. The bacteria that causes meningitis can live in your saliva, and if you kiss someone who has it, you could get the disease too. That's why it's important to be aware of the symptoms of meningitis and seek medical attention right away if you think you might have it. But don't worry, the risk of getting meningitis from a kiss is very low. Just use common sense and avoid kissing someone who looks like they're sick. That means your body makes antibodies to fight off the bacteria, and you're protected from getting sick. The CDC recommends that everyone get vaccinated against bacterial meningitis before starting college. That's because college students are at a higher risk of getting the disease. But you don't have to be a college student to get the shot. Anyone can get the bacterial meningitis vaccine. So talk to your doctor about it and find out if you need it. We promise. It's better to be safe than sorry. Normally, your brain cells send messages to each other through electrical signals. But when you have meningitis, the infection causes your brain cells to malfunction. Meningitis is a scary disease, but it's actually more common than you might think. In fact, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there are about 3,200 cases of bacterial meningitis in the United States each year. That's more than 8 cases per 100,000 people. And while that might not sound like a lot, it's important to remember that meningitis can be deadly. In fact, bacterial meningitis can kill up to 12% of people who get it. So it's definitely a disease to be aware of. But don't worry, there are things you can do to protect yourself from meningitis. For example, you can get the bacterial meningitis vaccine and take steps to avoid close contact with people who are sick. Just remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about meningitis, the better protected you'll be. That malfunctioning can trigger seizures, which are sudden, uncontrolled movements of your body. The seizures can be big or small, but they can also lead to something much worse, brain damage. So if you ever experience a seizure, no matter how small, make sure you seek medical attention right away. It could save your life. Number 10, it can kill you in hours. Yes, we just said it. Meningitis is a terrifying condition that can kill you within just a few hours. When you have meningitis, your brain and spinal cord become inflamed. Contagious means that you can pass the disease to someone else. And unfortunately, some types of meningitis are contagious. That means that if you have meningitis, you could pass it to someone else, which could potentially kill them. The most contagious type of meningitis is bacterial meningitis. This type of meningitis is caused by bacteria that live in the fluid around your brain and spinal cord. If you have bacterial meningitis, the bacteria can spread to other people through coughing or sneezing. That SYS important to cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze, so you do unspread germs to others. But bacterial meningitis isn't the only type of meningitis that can be contagious. Viral meningitis can also be passed along through close contact with an infected person. This type of meningitis is usually less serious than bacterial meningitis, but it can still make you very sick. There's no vaccine to prevent viral meningitis, so the best way to protect yourself is to avoid close contact with people who are sick. So if you're feeling under the weather, stay home and rest. Don't risk spreading meningitis to someone who could die from it. Normally, there's a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid between these tissues that helps cushion and protect them. But when you get meningitis, the fluid becomes cloudy, and the inflammation makes your brain and spinal cord swell. All that swelling puts pressure on your brain and can even make it stop working altogether. And if this happens, you only have a few hours to live. Number 9, it can cause seizures. No. 8, you can be contagious. Number 7, there's a shot that can help. There is one major benefit to bacterial meningitis. It's preventable. Yes, you heard us right. No. 6, it's more common than you think. No. 5, you can get it from a kiss. Number 4, you can't always see the symptoms. No. 3, beware of pets. No. 2, you may already have had it. Number 1, it can hide in your sinuses. Meningitis is an inflammation of the membranes that surround your brain and spinal cord. Did you learn anything new? Let us know in the comments below. And please subscribe if you haven't already.